just been the honor of a lifetime. I think any young person, any little girl, you get to put on a Disney princess dress and be her for a day, let alone 6 months of shooting in London on these incredible sets in a Sandy Powell design dress. It's just been the most amazing experience, and I can't wait to share it with you.
Alright folks, let's dive into the drama surrounding Disney as of August 29th, 2024, because they're facing some serious backlash. The company's top brass, especially CEO Bob Iger, has been focused on cutting costs across the board, but this cost-cutting is creating a storm of controversy, and it's Snow White 2025 that's caught in the middle of it all. What seemed like just another film release has turned into a full-blown crisis for Disney's plans. Now, when the first trailer for Snow White 2025 was shown at the D23 Expo, it did not receive the warm reception Disney hoped for. Instead of excitement, fans were visibly upset, sparking a huge backlash that's quickly growing into a full-on boycott. Yes, a boycott of a Disney movie. This is nearly unheard of. Fans are furious, feeling like their beloved fairy tales are being rewritten in ways that feel unrecognizable. Instead of a traditional story that captures the magic of the original, they believe the movie is pushing a more overt social agenda. For many, it's become too much, and they're saying, enough is enough. The outrage stems from what fans perceive as Disney's overemphasis on pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI initiatives at the expense of storytelling. While many viewers embrace diversity, they're frustrated by what they see as forced changes that detract from the classic essence of the tale. And the biggest shocker: Snow White herself isn't even white. She's played by Hispanic actress Rachel Zegler. On top of that, the seven dwarfs aren't dwarfs anymore, nor are they white. This deviation from the original story is seen as stripping away roles traditionally given to actors of smaller stature, leaving many in the community feeling overlooked and sidelined. But it doesn't stop there. Rachel Zegler, who portrays Snow White, has been at the center of the controversy, particularly due to her comments to the press. She's been described as a walking PR disaster for Disney, and many of her statements have only poured fuel on the fire. She's been outspoken about how the 1937 Snow White film was outdated, criticizing its focus on a love story where the prince stalks Snow White. According to Zegler, this new version moves away from the traditional romance. Instead, the film takes a different narrative approach, which has left fans confused and concerned about whether it will still retain any of the magic they remember. Amid all this chaos, Disney has reportedly decided to distance itself from Zegler for future projects, signaling just how damaging the backlash has been. Despite being locked into the role of Snow White for the 2025 film, she's lost out on any further Disney opportunities because of the ongoing controversy. While she's still tied to the movie, her comments, along with the growing boycott, are making things worse for both her and the company. At the core of this uproar is a larger debate about what Disney should stand for. Should the company stick to retelling its beloved classic tales, or is it right to push for more modern interpretations? Fans are feeling alienated, and the box office may reflect their discontent. As the release date for Snow White 2025 approaches, Disney is facing an unprecedented challenge, one that might cost them millions and tarnish their relationship with longtime fans. Whether the film can overcome this storm remains to be seen, but for now, Disney is feeling the heat, and all eyes are on how they navigate this tricky situation. Hollywood is going through some major shifts, and this Snow White adaptation seems to be at the center of it. It's as if they've taken the name Snow White and built an entirely new story that bears almost no resemblance to the classic. Fans of the original fairy tale are taken aback by the director. Rachel Zegler's comments regarding her compensation demands have caused quite a stir in the media and among Disney fans. Reportedly, she made a remark along the lines of, "If I'm going to stand there for 18 hours in a dress as an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online." Direction this new version is headed. Adding fuel to the fire, the actress playing Snow White, Rachel Zegler, has made a series of comments that some perceive as disrespectful toward the original story. Instead of celebrating the legacy of the character and the Disney magic that's endured for decades, her remarks appear dismissive. Given that Disney is celebrating its 100th year of movie making, you'd expect a more reverential approach, especially with such a beloved classic. Yet Zegler has been accused of downplaying the historical significance of the character and its fairy tale roots. People are saying this new Snow White has been twisted into a modern, woke retelling, and we've seen how that goes in recent years. Disney's attempt to modernize their stories has faced commercial backlash before. For example, Strange World 2022 tanked with a loss of $147 million, and Elemental had the weakest box office opening Disney's seen in 28 years. This raises the question, why not just create new stories if they want to push modern themes? Instead, it feels like they're taking these beloved classics and transforming them into something unrecognizable, alienating longtime fans in the process. Behind the scenes, the situation is even messier. Rachel Zegler hasn't stayed quiet amidst all the criticism. She's placed the blame squarely on Disney's marketing team, claiming they mishandled the promotion of the film. According to her, their tactics sparked much of the negative buzz and even fueled the boycott movement. Every time a new trailer or poster dropped, it seemed to only intensify the public's frustration rather than build excitement. The marketing campaign itself has reportedly been a nightmare for Disney, with missteps leading to one headache after another. It's become such a disaster that Disney is now scrambling to assemble a brand new marketing team to somehow salvage the project. They're in panic mode, desperately trying to spin the narrative before it's too late. It's a huge challenge to repackage the film after such intense backlash, and the pressure to fix the situation is mounting, especially as the boycott threatens to deal a significant blow to the company. Executives at Disney are reportedly in crisis mode. The backlash has been so severe that it's prompted talks of reshoots in October 2024. They're hoping that by fixing certain aspects of the film, they might be able to shift public perception and reverse some of the damage. Rachel Zegler and other key players in the production have been on speed dial, with the studio urging them to return for reshoots and help save the movie before it's too late. This statement ignited a fresh wave of controversy, with critics arguing that her attitude reflects a fundamental misunderstanding of Disney's legacy and what the character of Snow White represents. Many feel that Zegler's approach to the role, combined with her public comments, has only intensified the backlash against the movie. The problems surrounding Snow White 2025 extend far beyond Zegler's controversial remarks. The backlash surrounding the film has created a tidal wave of negative publicity, and its impact is now reverberating throughout Disney's broader business model, particularly in their highly profitable merchandise division. Disney had meticulously prepared a massive line of Snow White-themed merchandise, including everything from action figures and collectible dolls to clothing and accessories, all poised to hit the market alongside the film's release. Historically, merchandise tied to a major Disney film has been a reliable cash cow for the company, with products flying off shelves as fans flock to own a piece of their favorite movie. Yet this time, the growing storm of controversy around the Snow White remake is casting a shadow over what was expected to be another merchandising goldmine. With public sentiment turning against the film and the possibility of a box office flop looming, Disney now faces a daunting scenario. The company is staring down the very real possibility. If Snow White ends up being a flop both at the box office and in merchandise sales, it could serve as a major wake-up call for Disney's leadership. The studio is at a critical juncture, and the stakes have never been higher. Disney's recent history is already littered with expensive flops, from Strange World to Elemental. That millions of dollars worth of Snow White merchandise could sit unsold, gathering dust in warehouses, and turning into a colossal financial sinkhole. For Disney, which has built a significant portion of its business on merchandise sales, the stakes are high. The company relies heavily on the revenue generated from product tie-ins, and the idea that this merchandise might languish in unsold stockpiles poses a significant threat to their bottom line. The financial hit from a failed merchandise rollout would only add to the mounting costs that Snow White 2025 has already incurred. Adding to the pressure, Disney has already poured an eye-watering $300 million into the production of Snow White 2025, making it one of the company's most expensive undertakings in recent years. The film was initially expected to be a cornerstone of their upcoming slate, with projections suggesting that it could become a blockbuster. However, as the negative buzz has continued to escalate, Disney finds itself in the unenviable position of doubling down on an already risky investment. Reports now suggest that Disney is gearing up to spend an additional $105 million on reshoots in a desperate attempt to salvage the project. This brings the total investment close to $400 million, a staggering figure for any film, but especially for one already shrouded in controversy. This decision to pour even more money into Snow White has raised eyebrows across the industry. Disney is essentially gambling that these reshoots both of which failed to meet box office expectations and left the company scrambling to recoup losses. The failure of Snow White 2025 would further cement a troubling trend for Disney, one that could have lasting consequences on its brand reputation and financial health. Disney's willingness to pour more money into Snow White 2025, despite the signs that it could end in disaster, signals just how desperate they are to avoid another high-profile failure. The $105 million being spent on reshoots is a staggering figure in itself, and the fact that it's being spent before the movie has even hit theaters shows just how much is riding on this film's success. But reshoots alone won't be enough to fix the deeper issues at play. Disney will need to reevaluate not just its approach to this particular film but its entire strategy when it comes to remaking beloved classics. The growing disconnect between Disney and its audience won't be solved by throwing more money at the problem. What's clear is that Snow White 2025 has become a full-blown public relations disaster for Disney, one that they are desperately trying to manage. With reshoots scheduled and a new marketing team reportedly being brought on board, Disney is attempting to shift the narrative and salvage what they can from this turbulent project. However, the public's response so far suggests that their efforts might be too little, too late. The negative buzz surrounding the film has only grown louder, and it's unclear whether Disney's damage control strategies will have any meaningful impact. The stakes couldn't be higher for the studio. Disney's entire approach to how they remake classic films is being called into question, and this situation has prompted a larger conversation about their creative direction. The disconnect between what Disney thinks the audience wants and what the audience actually desires seems to be widening. Fans are growing increasingly frustrated with Disney's tendency to modernize or reimagine beloved stories in ways that feel out of step with the characters' original charm and appeal. Rather than drawing audiences in, these modernized adaptations often alienate the very fan base that made these characters iconic in the first place. Ultimately, the Snow White adaptation is emblematic of larger issues facing Disney. If they continue to prioritize messages or agendas over delivering heartfelt, engaging stories, they may find themselves dealing with more than just a single flop. This could signal a deeper shift in how audiences respond to Disney's future releases. As of now, it remains to be seen whether Snow White 2025 will join the ranks of previous box office failures, or if Disney will manage to pull off a miraculous turnaround. Disney's reliance on merchandise sales as a key part of their strategy underscores the severity of the situation. With fans now turning their backs on the film, the company has hit the brakes on its merchandise rollout, and they're clearly worried that millions of dollars worth of Snow White-themed products will end up as dead stock. If these products don't sell, it will deliver yet another financial blow to Disney, a company that thrives on brand loyalty and merchandising success. Meanwhile, they're already grappling with the fact that Snow White 2025 is a massive financial undertaking, one that's only gotten more expensive as they prepare for costly reshoots. This movie was initially positioned as a major tentpole for Disney's lineup, but now, with production costs skyrocketing and public sentiment shifting against them, the stakes are higher than ever. Whether Disney can right the ship and turn this disaster around, or whether Snow White will be remembered as another misstep in a string of box office flops remains to be seen. One thing's for sure, the pressure is on. But the spending isn't over yet. In a desperate bid to save the film, they're preparing to pour in an additional $105 million for reshoots. That's right, Disney is essentially gambling with even more cash, hoping that the changes will reverse the negative buzz and pull the movie back from the brink of disaster. It's a risky move given the already dire situation, but it seems they're willing to do whatever it takes to salvage something from this debacle. For Disney, this isn't just about one movie going sideways. Snow White feels like a warning sign of bigger issues brewing within the company. The disconnect between Disney and its audience seems to be widening. There's a growing sentiment among fans that the studio is prioritizing certain messages or agendas over delivering the kind of engaging, magical storytelling that once made Disney the juggernaut of family entertainment. If they continue down this path, focusing more on pushing modern themes than on creating stories that resonate with their core audience, they may face even more flops and backlash. The Snow White remake is shaping up to be more than just a box office risk, it's a wake-up call for the studio. Disney has long enjoyed a near untouchable brand reputation, where fans would flock to theaters no matter what they produced. But that sense of trust is starting to erode. They can no longer rely solely on the strength of the Disney label to guarantee success. It's clear that fans are beginning to push back, and Disney needs to start listening to what audiences actually want, rather than assuming they'll embrace anything with a familiar name slapped on it. So what do you think of Disney's scramble to fix this mess? Is it too late for them to turn things around, or do they still have a shot at saving Snow White 2025 from becoming another costly flop? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more updates on this ongoing saga. Once again, this is Woke Ant, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.